All right. What's up, family? It's Philosophy Panther. Welcome to the Panther Spot. Tonight's going to be a little bit different. I tried to gather as much news and information as I possibly could in the last week, and then none of it seemed to have mattered anymore. It just didn't. Once I saw what was going on in Houston and saw that I could do very little, but, find out where people could donate if they could, because I can't donate. I have nothing. That's just the reality for my current situation right now. But trust and believe, if I had anything to send, I would. So the next best thing is for me to find avenues for other people to send. So if you don't know what I'm talking about Hurricane Harvey. Now, we've seen memes, we've seen pictures, we've seen everything, and I'm going to try to break most of it down. If you have been working very hard like me and wasn't able to catch up on the comings and goings of everything that's happened in Houston, along with maybe a few thoughts on conspiracies that may just trigger some emotions, some thoughts later on. You let me know how you guys feel about it. And if you like some of the conspiracy theories, some of the thoughts, some of the truths that I could give you later on in the show, you let me know. All right. Today's show is brought to you by nobody. Nobody today. We didn't get anybody who wanted to help promote the show, want to be a benefactor of today's show. But if you ever want to do that, you can go on to patreon.com/the Panther Spot. Become a patron. It's just that easy. You can choose $1, $5, $10, or $20 a month. If you choose that $20 slot down there, though, however, you can indeed receive ads from me. I'll be doing ad slots throughout the show. I'll do a maximum of 5 per show. That's 5 a week. And I'll make sure I'll give you a mass shout out with any information that you currently want the fans to listen to and talk and discuss, and hopefully that'll help out your business and be helping mine. But back to, I'm kind of multitasking right now. Back to the show. Okay. From what I understand here, all right, it got flooded. That's the basics, right? Sounds stupid to say, but hurricane came and hit, and it was a massive one. It was a lot bigger and a lot more forceful than people had anticipated. Now, there have been some pundits, right-wing pundits. I can't even think of her name. I think it's like something Ann Coulter. Ann Coulter? Raggedy Ann. There you go. Raggedy Ann that went on to say that she doesn't believe that the fact that Houston elected a lesbian mayor as the reason why the strength of the hurricane was so massive and why everything's flooded as it is. But she says it's more believable than climate change. Now, let's just pause there for a moment, because some people just shouldn't have access to the internet. Ann Coulter is an idiot, and everybody knows it. So why do we keep dealing with her? We have no choice, because the internet is the internet. It's a place where people have free speech, and unfortunately, it's a place where people have free speech. But what you guys have to understand, that this thing was so massive, and it was only massive because of climate change. The hurricane gets stronger, gets larger, and it carries more water and becomes more fierce the warmer the waters that are feeding it are. So as warmer, the warmer that our planet becomes, the stronger our hurricanes in the future will be. This is scientific fact. This is not up for debate. This is not a theory. We can debate theories later on. This is a fact. And that same strength of a hurricane hit Houston, Texas. Knocked it crazy. I'm talking about floods. I've seen pictures where roads are flooded clear up to stoplights, past the stoplights. You can imagine the damages that does for a lot of places, a lot of people who are closer to sea level. But one place you didn't have to worry about being over flooded was Joel Osteen's, I think it was Lakeland Church. Who cares what the name of the church is? It's the pastor is Joel Osteen. If you don't know who he is, well, he's just a very, 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 very wealthy guy. Don't know if he's white, don't know if he's Hispanic, whatever, but he's a pretty wealthy guy. Um, Almost too wealthy for me to even talk about. Let me say this let me explain what I mean exactly. The church that he currently is the pastor of can seat 17,000 people. That's a lot of freaking people. It is the mega churches of mega churches. It's crazy. He also has a $10.5 million home in River Oaks. That means a lot of these people who live in Houston and outside of Houston have been going to this church every Sunday and then been putting millions upon millions of dollars into the church every Sunday. Or maybe every month. I could be wrong. But regardless, you guys get the point. There's lots of money. There's lots of money going into this church. And unfortunately, the church was shut down as of last Saturday, Sunday, whatever, saying, and the pastor Joel Steen said that due to flooding and unsafe streets and whatnot, the church will be closed. And it got a lot of backlash, as you guys can imagine. People all over were just like, I don't understand what's going on. And people believed it until a few people, with the help of a camera and social media, decided to record and walk the street 3 to 5 miles from into the church, around the church, and even played in where they say the flooding was supposed to be, which was maybe not even a quarter of an inch of water deep. To disprove pretty much call him out to be a liar. I think it's hilarious. Okay. That, if anybody knows me now, I am not a super religious person anymore. When it comes to Christianity, I got questions. When it comes to Judaism, I got questions. When it comes to Islam, I got questions. But I am a firm believer that divine intervention does occur and that the universe decides what goes on and where. And so for this instance, we'll say, isn't it funny how God sends a flood to show you who Joel Osteen really is? Oh, since the backlash, by the way, because it wasn't God that told him to open up the church doors, it was social media. Since then, he guaranteed that he would open up the doors to the church as of today. And earlier today, mountains and mountains of people flooded into the church because they had nowhere to go. You guys understand. A lot of people don't really think about this. But we think about this in the back of our minds, even though as Floridians, we play around with the thought of losing everything. More so in Central Florida because we always end up getting the back end of a storm on either side of the state. So we don't usually get the heavy hitters. Every once in a while, we'll get one that goes, screw this, we're just going to go fucking cross the state and fuck up everything. So we tend to be a little lax and we joke about it and stuff and laugh when other people get a hurricane and nothing really happens. But when it happens when it gets so big where it just floods the entire city, like New Orleans. I mean, New Orleans is flooded every so often. Same thing with Houston now. And it's funny that we saw a clip of the news interviewing Joel Osteen while he had the church open and everything. You see people, he's just looking around like, what the fuck? You know, he really did not want, and this is before they went live. You can see beforehand, they did not, he did not want those people to be in that church. Now, people say that there was more or less concerned about damages that could occur to the church, like it did the, what was it, the Superdome or whatever in New Orleans. That there was there was a lot of damage that went on and whatever. But that's a small price to pay to do the Lord's work, right? Again, it's not his church. 501c3, yeah, his name is on the intaking of money, and he's responsible for things that go on in a church. But essentially, the money doesn't come from him. The money comes from his patrons, the fools. I mean, the people who decide to go to that church. So if you're one of those idiots, I mean patrons that go to that church and have been giving him $50 every Sunday, I need you to sit there and look at what he did first. It wasn't God that changed his mind. He told you no. He lied about it too, on top of that, while he was in his $10.5 million home. My theory, again, he didn't want damage to occur to the church, but the church brings in so much money that it could fix anything that is damaging. Okay. Second thing is he didn't want to leave the comfort of his home. I mean, a lot of people are like that. That's just selfish, normal human behavior. But as a man of God, and you're preaching, you're hustling out of this book every Sunday, you have to take an L here and there. You actually have to prove that you're a man of God from time to time. And he was not prepared to do that, didn't want to do it, but he was forced by social media to do so. So I want to thank everybody out there, DL Hughley, just everybody who really pointed out the bullshit that was going on with Joel Osteen. Hopefully, these people can find refuge and figure out how to piece together their world, because some of these places are very, 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 very much damaged. So much so that it was pretty interesting that I saw a video of a black man and he was trying to hold back from crying, which, by all means, guys, if you gotta cry, you gotta cry. That's just the bottom line. There's nothing manly about not crying, because that shit balls up later on. It lashes out at the wrong person, and you end up doing more damage than what you mean to. So this guy was trying to hold back tears, but he was screaming into the camera, like pleading, please, if you're in Houston, if you have a boat, please go to the lower income neighborhoods, go to the hood. He says that he see that rescuers are purposely going past black families on their roofs, that are floating around that need help. They're purposely just floating on by in their boats and not rescuing them. So black people, you have to do for yourself. This is the instance that I talk about when I tell you guys, black people, listen, you have to do what's right for you. Because the bottom line is everybody, every shade of color of race has their own cliques, and they have national groups that are nationwide and of course across the nation, across the world, universal almost, and they specifically do things for people that look like them, and they don't do anything, go out of their way to bash black people unless you're the KKK and Fox News, and well, that's besides the point. But it's time that we form our own collection, and don't rely on the NAACP. That's garbage. Don't rely on the Rainbow Coalition, and don't rely on Black Lives Matter. If you don't know how I feel about that, then you can go back to episode like 2 or 3, and I'll give you a full explanation of why this idiot got fooled by Black Lives Matter. But we won't discuss that today. We're discussing what's going on with this guy. This cry help. This was not fake. I'm an aspiring actor. I've been in television. I've been in movies. They're G-rate movies and TV shows, whatever. But I know when a guy is acting. This guy really was hurt. He saw things where, in the news right now, all you're seeing is, especially, some of the anchors trying to push a story. One of the anchors was tweeted that he saw a lot of people stealing from the stores, a lot of theft, a lot of breaking and entering, a lot of robbery, a lot of looting. But at what point does it become looting? So here's a question I have for you guys. Okay, you ready? If you have lost everything and you have a child and you haven't eaten for days, but you've given everything you could find to that kid and your wife and or your husband or whatever it is, and you're an adult, and you see a store that is flooded too, okay, and you find a way, find that you have an option to get into that store, are you going to tell me that you're not going to take what is available because they're going to have to throw everything away anyway? Are you going to tell me at what point does it become thievery? At what point does it become looting? I'll tell you what. It becomes looting when you go into a Best Buy that, funny enough, was selling water for a freaking $42. Okay, that's a side note. But if you go into a Best Buy that's flooded or into a, electronic store, if you go stealing, uh, electronics during taking advantage of the chaos that's going on to go rob and steal and, loot for electronics, that's thievery. But going into a Whole Foods, if there is one in the lower income areas or even in the higher income areas, if there's a store and they got food that they're going to throw away because of the flood, they can't sell that shit. Take the shit. The law does not apply to peculiar circumstances. But this particular anchor wanted to point it out and made sure they pointed out, let you know that it was black people that were doing it and this, that, and the third. And later on, he had to take that post down. And, he looked like a big idiot the way he tried to explain his way out of it. And eventually we find out it was probably a lie anyway. It just hurts because I see so many black people doing what they're supposed to do. Beyonce's donated $1 million. Beyonce and Jay-Z's donated $1 million. Like, there's millions of dollars going into Houston. Now, here's my problem. And T.I. said it best. I've been speaking about it for a while now. If you don't know, I'll explain. The American Red Cross is full of shit. They claim they keep 23% of all the funding. Any money that comes in, they got to pay people. And that, okay, I get that. Whatever. 23%. But millions upon millions of dollars went into the American Red Cross back when Haiti went through the hurricane and through that earthquake. And since the earthquake and hurricane that occurred in Haiti, the American Red Cross has only built 6 homes. 6. They've got millions. Tens of millions, hundreds of millions, probably. Think about that 23%. How much of that goes to the CEO of American Red Cross? But if they can't seem to fix Haiti, what would make you think it's important that they would take care of Houston? So people, T.I. said it, and and I've been saying it for years. Do not put your money into any of these major relief foundations, not FEMA, not American Red Cross, not March of Dimes, not any of this bullshit, none of it. Do what you can to find local nonprofit organizations, and there's tons of black ones in Houston area. Find you a social media presence. Find someone who's like King Karan on Instagram. He's going out to these homes and helping people. He's been passing water and food out all day long. T.I. flew out there and directly gave them cash and bought groceries and food and stuff for people. That's how you help. Don't give it to the American Red Cross. It's bullshit. You're being an idiot. Now I understand, and people are disconnected. Like the Kardashians, they tried to one up, Beyonce, and they gave like $5 million or some crap like that. Who knows? I don't care. Yeah, it's going somewhere, but a big portion of that is not going to see people in lower income homes. This is the same thing that occurred in New Orleans. There's people still trying to recover from what happened in the floods there when the levees, quote unquote, broke. And they can never get their properties back. And what happened since they left and couldn't afford to rebuild in the areas they were once living in? Gentrification occurred is what happened. White people came in, bought up all the land at a low price because, it's low to begin with, and turned around and put establishments there that you would normally never see. Now you see white people walking all throughout what used to be the hood in New Orleans. I have a fear that this may happen in Houston as well. I don't want that to happen in Houston. Okay. So the best thing to do with your money is find a family member, find somebody who's there, and I'll search myself as well. I didn't have time earlier today, but I'm gonna find some nonprofits that are close. Blackmenunited.com or .org, I forgot. Maybe I believe they're putting some efforts together to help out in Houston as well. I'll make sure I put that link in the description below. You'll be able to see it, no problem, bright on patreon.com/the Panther Spot. If you see it on if anything, you might be able to see it on SoundCloud, but you may not. However, I'll make sure I get those links to you guys. I really do think Black Men United it's a powerful organization that will be doing their best to help out people in I keep saying Haiti, but I mean Houston. Sorry. So here's the part where y'all gonna start hating me. I got some conspiracies because I've seen scientific development. NASA, okay, has a cloud maker. This is not bullshit. This is a couple years ago. They actually have an actual working cloud maker. Basically, they got hydrogen and I forget all the scientific terms at the moment. My head's not on completely. But they were able to create clouds from a machine that floated up into the sky. And within 1 hour, it rained. Don't believe me? Google it yourself. It's all over social media right now anyway. So you should be able to find it. Should be a problem to find it. But we've known this for a few years now. That they've had control, be able to create its own weather, i.e., they're playing God in some circles. They also have something called HARP. Not NASA, I don't think particularly, but HARP is another tool that they claim that they're using to be able to monitor, control the weather, this, that, and the third. But there have been a few whispers on the dark side of the internet and the interwebs that say they can cause natural disasters up to and including hurricanes, tornadoes, and earthquakes. Funny enough, how Haiti, the first and only completely black republic in the world that fought off slave masters from the French to pretty much anybody else, is pretty much the only place that gets hit with everything. Okay, Haiti gets worse, and they share an island with Dominican Republic. Tell me why DR doesn't get any of this damage that Haiti does. And then start counting the certain areas where there's a lot of low-income housing and black and brown people live, and you start seeing a bit of a pattern. New Orleans gets flooded every so often. Houston, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's white people there, but let's face it, there's more black areas. The theory with New Orleans was that scientists who went down there, they found thermite. That thermite? Thermite's that same shit that they found in the rubble of the Twin Towers. Thermite is explosive, and it burns at levels well beyond jet fuel. So it ties into that whole, did they really crash the towers or was it set to detonate to begin with type of deal? Well, they felt like that's what happened to the levees in New Orleans. These aren't just like black people making up thoughts and excuses and stuff and shit. No, these are like old white scholars, like guys who've been around the block a couple times, probably can tell you what a black hole is in its simplest form. They find thermite explosives on the levees. Well, I mean, levees have given as well in Houston. I'm just saying, like, we'll see. I'm sure I'll keep my eyes peeled and see if we find out later on that, they found explosive material. Because I can guarantee you, those same guys, they avoid death. They're like dodging the CIA and the FBI to make sure they don't get killed next. Because when you find out some bullshit that the government's done, you got to run. But I guarantee you, I'm gonna look for those guys and see if they find any findings in Houston. I can't help just because of being a black man, it makes me cautious. I've always been cautious. Um, once I realize what the threat level, what kind of threat I bring to people who don't like me. If I'm not high, if I'm not drunk, if I'm not pretending to pray to something invisible in the sky, if I'm not wasting my money on garbage, I'm a threat. And like any threat, they do their best to quiet you. One of the things that I remember Tupac mentioned that when you're young, you're in your 20s, you're loud, you're abrasive, you're an asshole, you're just out there. So you'll say whatever the hell you want to say. You're the marcher, you're the protester. By 30, they take a man's nuts. They squeeze his balls. Why? Why? Because there's things in life at 30 that you want that they can stop you from having. They made you docile. Men of 30, 35, they made you afraid because you're afraid to go to jail. You're afraid to die. You're afraid to do a lot of things at 30 that you didn't care about in your 20s. And I thought it was really interesting how Pac explained that. He said, yo, you're quiet. There's not a lot of loud 35-year-olds out here in the world anymore. Well, I'll be 32 in a few weeks, and I'm still loud. I'm going to continue being loud. I'm going to be obnoxious. I'm going to be in your ear. I'm going to be that voice that you know it's right, but you just don't want to hear it all the time until you get old enough to accept it and say, well, damn, I should have been listening the whole time. I want to make sure that people like me understand, and people that aren't like me understand that this world is not out, especially for lower income and middle income people. I just really, really, really hope that whatever's coming Houston's way, I hope they hurry up because I've seen pictures, black and white people saving everybody. There's a lot of love going on right now. And I think that's one of the dopest things to see, especially in this day and age and in this time of turmoil where things are very, very polarized. It's left versus right, black versus white. And, and I say there's a lot of Asian and Hispanics picking a side. Usually Hispanics with blacks, except for a few of those crazy white Hispanics, and then Asians with white people. And it becomes a very, very polarizing situation. But seeing, black men, I see a lot of black men going all throughout the neighborhoods, black, white, Hispanic, didn't matter, and helping, bringing them food, trying to rescue them if they can, put them in boats. I mean, they're from 10 o'clock in the morning to 1 o'clock in the morning. Same thing with the police officer. There's a picture that they publicized to show this police officer in his boots, and he's passed out up against a brick wall like he's been working 20, 36 hours straight trying to get everything together and help me. So my shout out to the police officers that are doing what they're supposed to do as police officers, help people. I don't do this often, so take this while I can give it to you, because I do not like police as a whole. I just can't accept bad police and then good police, people claiming to be good police, allowing bad police to do bad things. That makes you bad too. But in this situation, while you're out saving lives, my hat's off to you. My hat's off to you. And I hope somebody can get you a blanket and a warm meal and get you strong enough to get back out there to help more of those people. And please do not skip our lower income people, our black people, our Hispanic people, or white people that's in those lower income areas. They matter too. Okay. I hope that no one tries to publicize to get rich off of this situation. Groups like Black Lives Matter and Antifa and all these other places, these other groups will try to slide in there and figure out a niche and an angle to try to benefit and be on television. And I just don't want that to happen, not in a time of need. So yeah, I think that's where I'm gonna end this show tonight. It's not that long, a little bit of short, but just a bit over 30 minutes tonight. It's just my mind is really with trying to find other ways to help out the people of Houston tonight. So maybe you guys can work with me. Email me if you know of any way to help the people in Houston. I need these emails. I need y'all to for real. Seriously, thisworldsfuture@gmail.com. Email me and let me know of all the different ways that I can help I can direct people to helping people that are already helping people in Houston, please direct that information to me and I'll get it out through my various social media platforms. You can find me on every social media under Philosophy Panther, on Twitter, because they're haters sometimes, Philo_Panther. And if you just want to tune in to this podcast, you can catch me here pretty much every Saturday. Every Saturday, I release it to the public for free. Like, it's just not cut for anybody on Saturday on SoundCloud.com/The Panther Spot. And 3 days earlier, today, Wednesday, actually, on Patreon.com/The Panther Spot. And I set it for, people who can get it in, I'm sorry, let me correct that. I messed that all up. I'm sorry. Here you go. For people who donate just $1 on Patreon, and those who are listening on SoundCloud, you can catch us on Saturday by 10 a.m. to be exact. For those who want this raw, unedited version, it gets all the cursing and the raunchiness and all this, no music, none of this shit. You can catch these as for those who patrons to do $10 a month. I released this 3 days earlier, today, Wednesday. So you can go to patreon.com/The Panther Spot. I hope to enlighten people, and I want this to be a conversation. I want to talk to you guys. I want you guys to leave comments. Let me know what you guys think. Okay, what should I talk about next? I'm gonna put a poll up on Patreon that'll be open for pretty much anybody. You don't even have to become a patron to participate in some of the polls. Some things I leave out for free for just anybody to, some of the behind the scenes. You can check that out, and hopefully that'll encourage you. And if you like it, what I say, if you think I'm worth 4 quarters, maybe you become a patron. I really hope so. Well, that's it for the night. Black people, listen, because I think it's important now more than ever. I think with all the various avenues out there across the United States, the different black businesses that are here, I need y'all to focus on one thing. If you can't do it today, or at least once a day, do it once a week. Hell, this week. And if you can't do it once a week, do it once a month. This month. Please always think, act, buy black. I love you guys. You have a great night.